All right, here we go.
Yeah.
Well,
hmm
welcome. It is January 16th, 2022. Welcome to the Zodiac Chatline. I am your host, Tanae, and my co-host, Cassie, is here with me.
Hey.
So, what do we want to talk about first?
Welcome to everybody. We are all feeling Mercury retrograde still in our lives. That started on Friday. And we have a big, fat Cancer full moon coming tomorrow. So let's talk about that for a few minutes before we get our awesome guest on the line.
Yes. So, I think that this is going to be an amazing full moon because Cancer rules the moon. That is where she is supposed to be. And I love the fullness because it allows us to just feel all of her energy, release and let go, and just bask in our, nurturing feminine energy.
I love that interpretation. Yes, that's good. Cancer is, as Tanae mentioned, ruled by the moon. So the moon is at home in the sign of Cancer. Um, but the moon is very emotional energy, y'all. And Cancer is a very emotional sign. So be prepared to feel some feelings and,
All the
whatever
feelings.
works for you around that. Cancer is very much the sign of motherhood, of home and nostalgia, and a, a Cancer dream is a supportive emotional base. So anything you can do to make yourself feel supported emotionally right now, I would, as someone with a lot of Cancer placements, Cancer also rules the belly. I would highly suggest comfort food. Don't eat your feelings in a negative way, but if there is a food that reminds you of a nice memory of your childhood, carrot cake or whatever it is, mashed potatoes, like have some. Soothe your soul. Just I promise you it's going to hit really hard if you do that for the full moon in
Yeah.
Cancer.
And, cry. Cry as much as you can.
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know, it's
hmm
actually better to release it and cry and let it out. Because the full moon is going to probably expose some things you might want to have been buried down. And it's a good clearing energy, especially as we talked about earlier, the opposing energy that is there. So, you
Yeah,
know,
because that full moon is sitting directly across from, of course, the sun in Capricorn, because that's how full moon happens, is it's sitting opposite the sun. But also Venus is retrograding in Capricorn right opposite this full moon too. So, some stuff you've been avoiding dealing with, especially in love relationships, but really any personal relationships, it might be coming to the forefront here. It is the wolf moon, they call the first full moon in January, and it's a good time to go within. Any
mhm.
opportunity you can take to fill up your own cup, before you start in with others, or before they start in with you, do that. Take a bath, get some Epsom salts.
Oils, essential oils.
Yeah. Always in the full moon, a good idea to charge your crystals if you're somebody who keeps rocks in your bra like I do. Mine are all outside on
Yeah.
the porch right now under the full moon's light, but also a good time to recharge yourself. The Cancer full moon is great for dream work, um, any kind of psychic or spiritual work. The full moon transiting any of the water signs. If you need help from your ancestors, your
Oh,
angels,
yeah.
the spirits out there, now is the time to ask them for it.
Yeah.
And don't be afraid to. I was sobbing asking my ancestors and angels for help earlier. And you know what? It feels kind of crazy in the moment. My Virgo 1-year-old was judging me a little bit, but you know what? I still went with it
Yeah.
because the full moon's power is
Is
powerful.
powerful. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we're gonna feel, it's not full until tomorrow, but you will probably have felt those effects today, in the past couple days, and then a couple days after. That energy is really potent. So, just kind of experience the feelings, feel the feelings, sit with them, but, just tend to your reactions, because they're not always they're going to be maybe more spontaneous and impulsive and very irrational, possibly,
Mm-hmm.
rather than really like, okay, maybe that was too much.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. And again, because uh the first full moon of the year is kind of dedicated toward your inner work, go back and revisit those January new moon intentions, those Capricorn new
Mm-hmm.
moon intentions. If you were, you know, positioning your mindset at, okay, what are my long-term goals, especially relative to career? Like, how are you feeling emotionally about that stuff right now?
Yeah.
And where are you at with some of that stuff? I went back and looked at mine and I was like, ooh, okay, I feel good about this. I need to work on this. But it was nice because I had some actionable ideas.
Mm-hmm.
One of my new moon intentions was to really put down and plot out how much time I'm using for everything I'm working on, because I have a lot of irons in the fire as always. And this past week with Mercury in retrograde, I was just harried with my schedule. I messed up a meeting at work, like arrived late and all this stuff. And I was like, I really realize I need to focus on that. I need to
Yeah.
check my calendar every day and make sure I'm getting everything done that I need to and not take on more. That was another
Yeah.
thing too, is like, okay, so do
I'm
that for
uh I'm
yourself.
I'm the same thing. Part of my New Moon intentions actually had to do with the show. And so of course I was like, okay, this is progressing. But it also is trying to balance out my regular job and, like spend my time doing that. And then, we do research, we do work for this show. We don't just pop on here. So we do take the time to really delve into the energy, so we give you guys the best show. Plus it's fun for us. It
Yeah, we
really
like
is.
it.
It's fun.
Mm-hmm.
So do you want to give some advice?
Yeah, so we
Okay.
decided to break down for every sign just a little tip for the full moon in Cancer tomorrow. I'm going to start because
Okay.
I'm taking the fire and air signs this time
All
around.
right.
So we'll start at the top of the zodiac with Aries. My tip for Aries is don't say it. With Aries is a very fiery energy. They want to speak their thoughts out loud all the time. Mercury is in retrograde, Venus is in retrograde, the moon is full in a fellow cardinal sign. So you're going to be ratcheted to 11. Just don't say it. Just don't say it. Like, feel it, direct your thoughts, but don't say it.
Okay. I like that one. Okay, so for Taurus, I have be vulnerable to truths revealed about yourself and learn to love the parts you hide. Um,
Ooh.
so I feel like with Taurus energy, they don't really want to be that vulnerable or exposed all the time, um, especially when it comes to the truths that they don't want to admit.
Mm-hmm.
But those are the insecurities that they may find within themselves, and that's what everybody kind of loves. In
Mm-hmm.
general, is like learning to love those parts of yourself. So, I mean, I say, and it's an earth sign, so it mixes fairly well with water. So I feel like that's where I got that from.
I love it. I love that. For Gemini, my tip is to laugh when you want to cry. I think Geminis get pulled in a lot of different directions because they put themselves in a lot of different directions, and they are super communicative. They're ruled by Mercury. Mercury is in retrograde and fellow air sign Aquarius right now. They've got this full moon in Cancer giving them an extra dose of a bunch of emotions they don't want to deal with. And my guess is some of your, you know, difficult energy that may come up with this full moon is maybe a blessing in disguise. So try and laugh when you feel like crying, because maybe it's really not that big of a deal.
Yeah. I like that one. I like that one. Okay, so for Cancer, since it is the sign, I have dance naked and be free,
Oh,
shine as bright as the moon, and embrace the feels and share your comforting motherly energy.
oh, I will. Thank you. Not probably the naked in the moon because it's only 6 degrees here, but like I'm
But
gonna
you
show
know,
my tits to the moon
yeah,
through a window.
that's what I'm talking about. That's what I'm. But you know what I mean? Like, be free, especially since Cancer does rule the breast as well.
True.
I think that you might be onto something. But
Yeah.
really, just like it's a full moon in Cancer, like when you tell a Leo shines bright as the sun, it's like telling a Cancer like shine bright as the moon, glow as bright as the moon.
Yes, I
So,
love that. That's actually a great lead into my tip for Leo because my tip for Leo is to absorb some of the moon's shine. Leo
ah,
is very shiny
yeah,
themselves as the sun. They're
yeah.
bright, they're putting their bright, big energy out there. But I think it would be useful for Leos and people with a lot of Leo placements. I'm looking at you, guest. Um, to stand in and absorb some of the emotional energy that they're not always standing in.
I like it. I
Mm-hmm.
like it. Okay. For Virgo, I have be of service to yourself first in order to nurture others.
Mm.
So, Virgo is a service sign, also another earth sign, which blends well with water. And they love to be of service, but I feel like they should take that airplane mantra, put the mask on yourself before you put it on others, and really be of service and nurture themselves in that type of way, and so that they're able to do it with others.
Absolutely. That's good advice. Virgo's energy can easily get siphoned off by others, and it can become very easy for them to forget where their needs end and the needs of those they're serving begin. So that's really good
Yes.
advice for Virgo, especially relative to such an emotional full moon. Libra, my advice is do say it. So Libras, as we have discussed on the show, are generally people with good gut instincts that they don't trust. And they're probably going to see things at this time that other people don't. They're not, everybody's energy is so scattered right now, and Libra is so balanced in general that I think they're going to be able to spot things that other people have missed. And just in an effort to not rock the boat, sometimes a Libra will not say anything. And I think now is a good time for them to speak up. Like when you
Oh yeah.
see that things are out of whack, because Libra's also extremely diplomatic. So you know that they're not going to, the full moon's not going to make them pop off, but go ahead and speak up when you see something. Like that's I think a fair thing for you to do right now.
Yes, I love that. Um, Scorpio.
Mm-hmm.
I have let go and release. The pain and the feelings no longer serve you. Um, Scorpios tend to be very deep emotionally, and hold on to things a little bit longer than they should, emotionally. And I feel like a good watery moon is good to release and let all of that go for them, and to kind of just like find it just doesn't serve them anymore. So find a way to release that and live in some cooler waters. You know what I mean? Live in some more, instead of the
Mm-hmm.
fixed waters, live in some more, initiating new feelings water.
Yeah, like a spring instead of
Yeah.
a
Blech.
Lake
Yeah.
Superior. Yeah,
Right,
mild,
right.
deep, extremely cold. Um, okay, so for Sagittarius, my advice is to patiently dream bigger and weirder.
Oh, nice.
They're not super they're not the sign that's going to be really swayed or pulled off of their path by Cancer full moon emotional nut jobbery. Like they're a little too philosophical for that. But I think that, for Sagittarius is in this highly charged energy, like allow your sixth sense to activate, don't analyze and try and read every book about something, but just let your mind wander into dreamy weird scapes that maybe you don't always access.
I like that. That's a good one. For Capricorn, I have focus on home and family, be the nurturer and the provider. And because it is because for Capricorns, this moon is opposing everything about you. Focusing on, your ambitions in your career is always gonna be good for you because that's just your energy. But really focusing on your family and like nurturing that relationships and what's important is really good for this full moon, and you'll probably feel more fulfilled because the emotions that it'll evoke within your family being appreciative of you being very present.
Yeah, that's good advice. That's good advice for Capricorn. Evergreen good advice for Capricorn.
But it just highlights on this moon.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. So for Aquarius, my advice or my tip is to find something that'll make you cry and cry. And I would think that's pretty good advice for anyone on a Cancer full moon, but an Aquarius is a harder one to squeeze a tear out of. So like whatever that thing is for you as an Aquarius, for me, literally anything. Try me. Call me and tell me a sad story and be a stranger and I will cry. But it's not that easy for everyone. But everyone has something. Queer eye. Upworthy. Like there's a ton of different
It's always
things.
Watching a kid getting excited about something. You're like, oh my God, I can feel it.
Yeah. Right. Google like YouTube kids whose parents came back from the military or whatever. Like, yeah, something. And shed tears. Just get it out of you. Because the Aquarius will let it all stay in here. You'll let it all stay up in your brain, behind your tear ducts. Just let some of it out. It's fine.
I feel a little exposed. Okay, and finally for Pisces, I have you intuitively know which direction you want to swim. Continue to flow that way. Pisces is the intuitive sign, the last sign, the sign that kind of encompasses us all in their own kind of way. And they work well with water and moon energy. They understand their feelings in a more flowy way than maybe a fixed Scorpio would or cardinal Cancer. Like theirs just is always flowing, but it's like, just go with it. You already know.
Pisces is another sign like Libra that is well served by trusting their own instincts. I think Pisces does. It's not that Pisces doesn't trust their instincts; it's that they don't trust themselves. That's fundamentally a different problem. But they are, yes, they're one who is served to pay attention to their instincts. That's good.
So,
on that note,
are you ready?
Yeah.
Are you ready?
Let's bring in our guest.
I can see she's already she's watching, so I hope you're ready. Because here you come. I'm gonna hopefully work this. But as Cassie's introducing, go ahead.
Yeah, so we're gonna have Katy on with us. Katy is a Pisces sun, a Leo moon, and a Leo rising.
Ooh.
And she's joining us from the great state of Michigan. Hey, girl.
What's up? Give it up. Give it up for the 313.
Thank you for coming on the show tonight.
Thank you so much for having me.
Yes, we're so excited to talk about your chart. So Tanae and I know because you have sent questions to the chat, and I know because in the interest of full disclosure, Katy and I have been friends for like 20 years, that you know a little something about your chart, and by that I mean quite a bit. So how do you feel like you relate to your Pisces sun? And then what do you think about your other two of your big three, the Leo rising and Leo moon?
Sure. So my Pisces sun, I've really been into astrology for a long time. So that's been a little more developed. And what I've really noticed is with my Pisces sun, there's always that emphasis on music, which is huge for me.
Mm.
There's that big emphasis on alone time and that need for some sort of spirituality, whatever that looks like. And that's kind of evolved throughout my life. And then also that, like, the duality that permeates everything. So that's kind of like my big thing for that. With my Leos, so once I found out about that, things clicked. And I think I actually texted you, Cassie, and I was like, oh my God, like
Remember.
my life makes so much more sense now. Um, you know, gravitating towards the leadership positions, and on that point too, being that natural cheerleader. I want to see myself do well, but I want to see everybody do well, and I'm proud of them for it. The passion, intensity, and aggressiveness. Yep. And, really just wanting to help people too, which goes back to the leadership.
All right. Tanae, do you have a question you want to ask before we dive into stuff?
I would say, at what point did your moon really make sense to you?
So I probably found out about it for the first time maybe 5 to 10 years ago. And at first it was kind of like, okay, like this definitely makes sense. But it was probably 2 to 3 years ago when I started to really kind of dig into it. And I was like, oh my God, like this is it. So I find myself when I'm looking at different things, right? Like, oh, like you two just went through tips for the full moon. Well, I have a hard time just looking at the Pisces. I always have to look at the Leo too. I have to because, I mean, when you're looking at the big three, it's 2/3 of it.
Yeah.
Yes, we do. We noticed that too. We were like, okay, it's and that's actually a good point. And like when you're just kind of listening for tips and things like that, looking at your big three and listening for all because they affect different parts of you. And to have a Leo moon and a Leo rising, I was like, oh,
And then
shine
even
bright. Yeah.
yeah, even further into, like, when you go just a little bit further into the rest of the personal planets, you also have Mercury in Pisces. So that's one other little node of Pisces there. But the rest are in fire signs too, because you have Venus in Aries and the Mars in Aries. So it's your chart is fascinating because it's really all water and fire. You have one, like, prominent air influence and one, well, two, I guess, prominent earth influences, because you have Neptune and Capricorn, which, Neptune's a generational influence. It's house positioning is more important in our chart than its influence over us as a person. As far as Neptune being, whatever, governing a particular sphere of us. But you also have your North Node in Taurus, which I know you have questions about. And given what you just said about really channeling those leadership qualities of Leo and the desire to put yourself out there, your North Node position is in Taurus, is in your 10th house of career. And so your path is very much directed toward, how do I build on this? How do I create the thing that I want to see in the world? And what does that look like for me? And I'm going to get there. It's a determination to arrive at that place, but it's, a matter of, how do I focus these competing influences in order to achieve that thing? I have a question for you, is whose career do you most admire? Or like, yeah, I mean, anyone you look up, maybe not most admire, but is there someone you can think of whose career you do admire, and what about it is it that you admire?
Sure. So one specific person, I'm not sure. But I can tell you, I love when people, and I admire when people figure out what they want to do, go for it, and just crush it. and they're just happy and they're successful in whatever that looks like for them.
Mm-hmm.
So, there's a lot of people I think that I know that have done that and that are on their path to do that.
Okay.
That seems like it rings quite true for you. Is that like that's really what you want at the end of the day? Is like find what you want, go for it, and do it.
Mm-hmm. I will say I wondered looking at your chart because so you do have the moon in Leo, which in general is a warmer, more vibrant presence, especially in the moon placement, which rules your emotional self. And but you have it in the 12th house, which is is associated with the sign of Pisces. And there's very much a tension between Pisces and Leo in your chart. And what I gleaned from that and researching that and thinking about that position is that there may have been a point in your life where you felt probably early on, it became associated that it was bad to seek attention, or there was some kind of like, you didn't want to be thought of as seeking attention, or you worried that you were trying to take up too much space. And I think as women, we generally get socialized that way, where we're made to feel like we're attention whores, where, men who do similar things get praised for having, moxie or whatever. But it also very much depends on your individual household. And, even though we've been friends for a long time, I didn't grow up, in your house and know how you were made to feel about that and family dynamics. But you really need to put yourself out there. As a Leo moon and a Leo rising, it is your destiny to put yourself out there. And there is so much value for other people in watching someone put themselves out there and be their authentic self. And your Pisces sun, especially in the 8th house of death and regeneration and legacies, makes you acutely aware of like other people's trauma and other people's, like, you might think that other people deserve to take up more space, or that if you feel anger or passion, it may not be like, Pisces has a hard time accepting that they're allowed to take up space in the world. Do you feel comfortable taking up space?
I think it depends. I feel like sometimes it's difficult because I feel like I have a decent tendency, let's just say that, to sometimes come off a little more aggressive. And so, being the talker in class and getting in trouble for that, or in leadership roles, having management come back and be like, no, you can't do it that way. You have to do it this way. And I challenge it. And it's like, why are you arguing with me? I'm not arguing with you. I'm just asking a question. Because I think I might have a better way to do it. So yeah, I think I like the idea of taking up space, but yeah, a lot of times when I've gone to do it, it's just like, no,
Yeah.
like back up.
Mm-hmm. Well, fuck everyone.
That's right. That's right.
Because it's your job to take up space. That's part of your destiny in this world as a Leo rising and a Leo moon, and being someone who can be so in touch with other people's feelings with that Pisces sun, and especially Mercury in Pisces too, means you can communicate with other people and you can read into the subtext of the room. And a great leader takes up space and challenges things that need to be challenged. And I'm so glad that you found patterns in astrology that work for you and help you connect to that true purpose. Because I think that's astrology at its best, is revealing to us, okay, these are the patterns that I have. How can I work with them? And how can I learn from and rectify some of the not so good patterns that have, manifested over these years or whatever. And so it's good that you are in touch with your inner lioness queen of doing whatever she wants to do, because if you tried to trap her, you'd be miserable.
Yep. Mm-hmm. So how do you feel about your 8th house energy?
So I'm still kind of learning a little bit about that.
Okay.
Um, so I don't know yet.
Tanae,
Tanae, what do you
dive
think?
into
What do you
the
think
eighth
about my
house.
eighth house energy?
So I find it, listen, as a person who has similar eighth house energy to you, I have found that I found it interesting in your chart because you have eighth house energy. Usually it comes after the seventh house and it has to do with other people's resources, other people's money, and like Cassie said, death and like a different, always seeking way more answers than just what the surface. You never really take a lot of things at face value, and it's always like there's a deeper meaning to that.
Mhm.
Eighth house energy has been very transformative, and it feels like a lot of experiences have happened. Even though they felt like they happened to you, they actually happened for you, and they were always out of your control. And afterwards, you kind of rebirthed into another type of person. Like you evolved just kind of bigger and stronger. I guess that's the best way. It's you just, I feel that you are just like deeper than deep, and most people wouldn't know how deep you were unless they were very close and intimate to you. Like you definitely put on a lion front when you're outside and the rest of the world, but people that know you dearly and closely know that like Katy is deep. Like, you know what I mean? You're not like the person that's really gonna, say, oh, how was the weather today? Like, that's not going to be like your kind of conversation. You're going to really go deep. And so, eighth house energy is sometimes difficult to work with. And you have eighth house sun and Mercury and 12th house moon. And both of those are kind of hidden and deeper meaning houses, which not everybody always sees. A lot of that transformation happens internally. It's not always for everybody to see, but your career and your North Node and your Midhaven, all of that is for everyone to see. And so they don't know how much work you've actually done to get to that point. And so I don't know if that's happened to you where you've had experiences. So I would ask that, have you had too many transformative experiences?
I definitely think I've had a few. I definitely think I've had a few. And if I thought about it, probably a lot more than what's coming to mind right now.
Mm-hmm.
It's interesting too, because one of the things you said that you really relate to with your Pisces sun is the need for solitude sometimes and to recharge. And that is very much a theme of the moon in the 12th house as well, to the point where you may find success in endeavors where you actually are in a studio or a small isolated room. Like I'm having a hard time imagining anything other than a musician studio or an artist studio or a dark room, but it may just be that you have your own little home office that is, cordoned off from everybody else. But that like a solitary space where nobody is going to come in and mess with you can do wonders for your creative mind and
Is
allowing you to release some of
necessary.
your energy. That said, you also, again, with the eighth house energy, you are very good with other people's money. You work in the business of handling other people's money. Is that where you thought you would end up? And is it where what do you like about that job or that career field, and what feels like is there
Can you
anything that feels like it's missing?
can you share a little more detail about what that career field exactly is?
So I work at a credit union.
Okay, okay. Oh, yeah, people's money. Okay,
Yeah, yeah,
continue.
yeah.
Sorry. You're like, just straightforward like that. Love it. I'm sorry, continue.
No. So helping people reach their financial goals. I like that. I feel like we do a really, really shitty job in educating people about it. So you have all these people that have no idea what they're doing and they go to do so, buy something, car, house, anything. And they're either can't do it because their credit sucks, or they go into massive amounts of debt because they never knew how to manage it. No one ever taught them. So I like that. I like helping people, educating them on that and reaching their goals. As far as is it what I thought I would do? No. But I like it.
Hmm.
Will I probably do it forever? Probably not.
What did you think you would do?
Oh man, I don't know. I love leading people. Like I said, leadership. So most of my jobs that I've had in my life have been leadership roles. So I don't know, owning a business, high level, something like that, mentoring people, helping them develop.
Hmm. Both the eighth house, Pisces energy, the Pisces Sun and Mercury, and your North Node in your 10th house of career, and even the Leo moon placement, all of that is well aspected to help other people. Like you benefit as an individual, you do your best work in helping other people harness and manifest their goals. It makes you feel good to serve
Mhm.
humanity, and it also is one of the things you do best. There's, you know, I think deep interest in justice too. Like from your Leo moon, you want um, positive energy for everyone. You are not going to be bogged down with pettiness, and Pisces placements are heavy worriers about the state of the world. You know, everything comes to them for release. And also, in being in the eighth house, you're concerned about legacies and what's going to come in the generations next, what has come out of the generations before.
Mhm.
And I'm projecting because I want you to run for office. But if you don't want to be in that much of the spotlight, like you would be a great campaign manager or like working. Another thing I thought about, because let's get a little nitty gritty. So we were talking about the North Node. As we discussed last episode, your North Node placement is the end of your karmic path. The dragon's head, sometimes referred to in your chart, but it's kind of the direction your learning needs to go. And it's the point that you are kind of supposed to strive toward. And your South Node represents like where you're what karma you came into the world with. And so Katy's North Node is in Taurus, which means she's very much oriented toward building something solid, real estate ventures, like even farming, owning your own thing and building it. That's very much where you're oriented toward. And the North Node has already moved into Taurus or is
No,
in.
January 18th it will move into Taurus. It will actually
Okay.
it will move into Taurus and Uranus will turn direct, so that is also helpful for that. But I'll kind of, so the North nodes, just in case we didn't know, they always travel retrograde. So they're always going to go backwards to move towards signs. So currently it's in Gemini, which happens to be Cassie's North Node. And in a couple days, on January 18th, it will move into Taurus. Usually they stay there about 1.5 years. This one we had discussed for you is especially poignant because you will be turning how old this year?
37.
37. So the North nodes kind of cross our lives at certain very big points in our time. The first time was when you were about 18. Can you remember anything large, significant that happened to you back then?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to share?
Yeah.
Do you want to share? Do you want to tell us or no? We just,
I mean, obviously, transitioning from high school to college and made the jump to join an organization, a sorority, and it ended up being something that was really transformative for me and introduced me to a lot of different people that I probably would have never met.
So 37 will bring similar energy. It'll just be another transition for you. And it's a large one because when it like comes back around to your node, you think about this is literally how the placement was when you were born. And so whatever projects or whatever people that come into your life, it's like a faded moment in time again. So this is going to be just a really full year of allowing destiny and fate to have their hand within allowing things to happen in your life. As far as meeting, like you said, meeting people that you would never
Mm.
thought before. And so this is going to be a whole new cycle of meeting a different group of people to kind of transform your life in a different way. And you figure, you're about just past the first third-ish of your life, right? And when you were 18, and then the woman you are now at, late 30s, leaning towards 40, is just how much
Mid 30s, Tanae. Come on.
Thank you.
Okay,
Thank you.
I need both of you. Okay, so a person who's over 40, I need both of you to realize after 35, it does go towards your 30. That is late. It's
It's mid.
fine.
It's
It's
mid.
fine. It doesn't matter. Numbers don't matter. Our soul.
It's true.
First of all, Katy, you're a Pisces, which means your soul is 120.
And
So
true.
whatever else we're talking about, it don't even matter. But like, she's like, no, I am 30. I am 2075 months. No, you're 37. But what I will say is that as easy as it is for you to live in that Scorpio energy with your South Node and it being a water sign and you having a lot of eighth house energy, it's so easy for you to live in that energy, to really focus on building something and more or less like using your own self-worth and self-value for you. Like you have to find that within yourself and for you and allow that to be built upon for the outside world and for your career. And this may be another time where you kind of like reevaluate what your self-love means to you and how you really value yourself and what you put value in on who you are as a person and what that output means to other people. So this is going to be exciting. I can't wait. I think you should have a bomb ass birthday party, just because, and I would encourage you to maybe start journaling and remembering all of the things that could happen so that next year you're able to kind of, once Uranus leaves Taurus and goes into Aries, that you're able to kind of see what happened. Or your North Node, I'm sorry, I misspoke. Your North Node leaving Taurus and going in Aries, but see what has transpired over this entire year for you and what significant, people and relationships you met, decisions you've made, and things that because I have a feeling your life today and the people you know today is going to be a huge difference in a year from now. And you're going to meet people along the way that you never knew would touch your spirit and soul the way that they do.
That's awesome.
And the influence of Uranus there, I think, will lend to that too. You're gonna meet some unusual people, probably have sudden and unexpected chance encounters and very like oddball, strange energy. And you're really gonna have to get in touch with your gut. And that is a theme that came up with having your moon in your 12th house, the South Node in Scorpio, and really the sun in Pisces and the sun in the 8th house, is a tendency to not want to reveal who you truly are, to be secretive with your inner self, and to not really trust other people to be presenting themselves to you as they really are. And it would serve you well to remember that you do good things, and when you come from good intentions, that good energy will come back to you. You have to have a little bit of faith that it will, and sometimes that's hard when you aren't necessarily rooted in energy that's overly optimistic about human nature. And it's not that you're not optimistic, it's that you're just not necessarily trustful of it, and that's fine. I think a little healthy skepticism is good, but so is a little healthy faith. And make sure you're balancing out those two impulses, and also really knowing in your heart of hearts that when you put things in your karma bank, you will get that karma back to you, and it may take a while. And Taurus is an energy of building things slowly over time, and just know that trust in the process a little bit. Real estate ventures, even farming was something that came up with a Taurus North Node in the 10th house placement, but very much ventures where you can really see and touch and feel, you know, like what you've built. And also with your, especially the Mars in Aries placement and Venus in Aries too, it's really important for you and can be really beneficial to do physical things. Get, you know, like get a lot of your physical energy out. Good ideas will come to you. You'll get out some of that, like, you know, aggression if you feel that coming up. And it may just be a thing that puts you in contact with, you know, the right person at the right time. Like,
you make everything happen through you, nobody else. You don't need to rely on anybody else for it. You have to just, you know, be yourself and take that skeptical eighth house energy, and as much as you want to be secretive, just be yourself, because people find so much energy in that and the vulnerability, and you have that energy that people need to see, because whatever you have gone through over your lifetime, people will benefit from learning from you and using that to their benefit. Is there any other questions you want to shoot at us before we get you out of here?
So you two,
I didn't realize we've been talking that long. I was like, oh, I looked over at the time. Coral's in our producer chat, like, girls.
I was like, we got to set, because, you know, Katy could have her own
oh my
shows.
gosh, we could just talk and I'd be okay with that. I guess to wrap it up, then you two have gone over a lot, but is there anything that you haven't gone over that really stuck out in my chart?
I want to make sure that I hit everything. I think I'm just going to kind of reiterate what Tanae said a little bit, but there's, you know, the big lesson to me that comes out from your chart is there is only one you. And it's very important that you show that person to the world, because people admire you. You are somebody who can get attention by walking into a room. You have a warm, loving energy, and people, you know, you have to watch out, because some people will try and pilfer that energy off of you. But I think that you have developed a healthy relationship with yourself, and, you know, as long as you understand your own boundaries, just make sure that you are letting your true self shine forward, and you will, that will be the pathway to your blessings.
Just embrace your Leo energy. You know, they're ultra confident with themselves and their ego and how that feels good to them. And that's all you really need to kind of go with, because everything else is so natural for you. And you come in just having the ability to magnetize everyone. And so just let them be magnetized.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Love it.
Let them take your energy. Well, thank you. Have an amazing week. We are so appreciative. Thank you for being our own first solo guest. Hey.
Yes. Did you look up Katy's crystal with her
yes,
Katy path?
Yes, I do. And Katy knows what it is.
Oh, Katy.
Don't you, Katy? Yes, Katy does know, but we'll say it for the crowd. So Katy's crystal is Angelite. It connects the individual to the realms of unconditional love, allaying fears of rejection. This stone frees the heart to express inner truths with a childlike joy and innocence. And you know your karmic path is on the path, the way of innocence, which means like have the innocence of a child. That's it. Like everything is just new and tangible. And then the suggestion
and possible.
Yes. And the suggestion is confront your fear of rejection. Be aware of how indirect you can be. Try to become more attuned to nature's rhythms. Temper imagination with practicality. Splash some color into your life. And I think that that's a big thing with going towards the Taurus energy, is confronting that fear of rejection and like the self-value and what feels good to you.
Again, stay in that Leo vibe. Stay in that Leo vibe. If it speaks to you, go with that.
Okay.
Yes. Awesome. All right. Thank you so much.
Appreciate you guys.
Thank you. We appreciate you. I love you, Katy.
Love you.
Oh wait, wrong button.
We're your retrograde. Katy staying on for the rest of the show.
All right, here we go. Bye, Katy.
Bye.
Bye. Oh, Katie.
So
Y'all,
for a
Katie
moment,
stood up in my wedding. I love Katie so much.
I almost ended the whole chat, but oops. Okay.
Okay.
So let's rock and roll. Let's get to these questions and
Yes.
get a question, a card, and get out of here. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Let's
Okay.
rock. Go.
So first question came via direct text to moi from Jamie. Love you, Jamie, girl.
Hey,
Also
girl. We
stood up
love
in my
you.
wedding. Um, and it was, is it normal for two retrogrades to happen at the same time? So as we mentioned before, Mercury is in retrograde right now, and Venus is in retrograde, and Uranus is in retrograde.
And
Is
Pluto.
Pluto in retrograde? Yep.
Yeah.
Okay.
And pretty much all the outer planets are in retrograde, but Mercury and Venus matter a lot to all of us.
The
We can feel it.
most. Yeah.
Um, so is it common for personal planets to be retrograding this close to each other? No. The last time was, as Cassie mentioned in our Mercury retrograde last time, was 2020 when
Yep.
everything was intensely insane. We got a little bit of a break in 2021, but we will have only Venus and only Mars retrograding separately from Mercury. So Mercury does retrograde those multiple times a year. We get used to that, but we're not going to have a lot of that dual energy. So kind of, I feel like this first part of the year is just to kind of flesh things out and allow any residual energy from last year and anything that you really weren't focusing on or dealing with in your relationships or how you communicate or any of written projects, they are going to definitely make you rethink and redo them over again so that you want clear energy. Once everything goes direct, it makes everything a lot more powerful.
Yeah, absolutely. It's pretty common for the outer planets to be retrograding at the same time because most of them spend about half the year in retrograde transit. So like for Uranus and Neptune or something like that to both be retrograding, that happens fairly frequently. But two personal planets, not super frequently. And I told Tanae and I were talking about this in our pre-call. And I didn't have time to actually go back and look at every calendar year since the year 2000, but I read an article that said that from the entire period from 2000 to 2016, Mercury and Venus did not retrograde at the same time. Their retrogrades did not overlap that whole 16-year period. But since 2016, they have overlapped 9 times. And as Tanae mentioned, the last time was in 2020 when everybody was getting divorced and breaking up in June/July or May, June of 2020.
All of that.
So it's not, it's things come up. You can't skate by the negative forever.
Yeah.
It's going to get dealt with one way or the other, and retrogrades do that. And
they're just here to help you grow. Just like, take it like a champ. It'll suck, but it's temporary, just like everything.
And the next question is from email. Do full moons affect the signs they're in more? Like for a full moon in Cancer, does it affect Cancers more than other signs? What would you say to this, Tanae?
I think Cancers are affected by the moon no matter when it is, especially full moons. I feel like if it's in that sign's energy, it's best for that sign. It actually works better for that sign, and it tends to work better for the signs that match the element or complement the element. So since we have a full moon in Cancer, that's a water sign. Water signs will probably be easier with this, and earth signs will find that it could go either way. I think with earth signs, they could get muddied or they could kind of be nurtured from
Harmonize with it. Yeah.
I definitely think full moons affect everybody equally. But I do think that in a positive way, it affects the sign that it's in.
I like that answer. I was going to say that I think it matters more if the full moon is in the sign where your moon resides. So for me, I have Cancer, moon in Cancer in addition to the sun in Cancer. So yeah, for sure. I'm going to be all in my feelings in a full moon in Cancer. If you have a moon in Cancer in your chart, I would expect you to feel this one more acutely. But like Tanae said, no one's exempt from feeling the full moon's vibes, you guys. Ask any person who works in a medical office or a restaurant or a police station or like anywhere. They will tell you there is something to it. It definitely messes with people's vibes, man.
So, well, thank you so much for those questions. If you guys do have questions, always drop them in the chat, or send us the email, the Zodiac Chatline at gmail.com. After our
slide
lives,
in our DMs.
Slide in them. After these lives, we do post them on YouTube, on Spotify, any platform where we can get our faces and voices out there. We're on them. Tell your friends. If you want to be on the show, please do not hesitate to email us at the Zodiac Chat Mail. The Zodiac, oh my gosh, the Zodiac Chatline at gmail.com. Oh, Mercury. And just say, hey, I'm interested in being the show. And then we'll reply to you, ask you all kinds of info, make you sign a release because we like to be legal and shit up in here. And Cassie, I love hosting with you. And before we get out of here, guys, I'm going to get you an Eternal Crystals Oracle card. Boop, boop, boop. So here we go for this full moon. You guys, remember our things, be all up in your feels and all that. Here we go.
That's right. And you know what? Thursday we have a live. We're going to be talking about Aquarius season. We'll have some fun games to play and it's going to be great. That'll be at 10 p.m. on Thursday. So.
All right. So I'm excited about that one. The card we pulled is Amethyst. Woo woo.
Ooh, nice.
And this is your intuition and third eye chakra. Your intuition is very strong right now. Notice any intuitive feelings or vision that you may be experiencing. Trust in your intuition because this is your inner self. Spirit guides and angels connecting with you. They offer guidance and valuable insights into your life. Take time today to focus on peace and tranquility. As you relax, you will feel the answers to your questions coming forward more clearly. This is a great time to do that. A good intuitive time. Cassie, thank you. I love you, girl.
I love you as always.
Everybody,
a blessing.
Thank you for the likes, subscribes, and shares. It's all love. Peace. Bye.